Anakin, Chancellor Palpatine is evil!
From my point of view, the Jedi are evil!
Well, then you are lost!
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for Star Wars movies ranked from worst to best.
It is your destiny. Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
For this list, we're looking at all of the cinematic releases in the Star Wars universe, rating them from rotten to raving. We'll only be including movies that were released in theaters, so the Ewok films and the infamous holiday special will not be included. There are a few spoilers if you're not caught up on all 12 films. What's your favorite Star Wars film? Let us know in the comments. Number 12. Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
The name's Ahsoka Tano.
So I thought you said you'd never have a Padawan.
There's been a mix-up. The youngling isn't with me.
Stop calling me that! You're stuck with me, Sky Guy.
When Star Wars fans hear The Clone Wars, they're more likely thinking about the television show instead of the movie. This 2008 animated film was released in theaters to mostly negative reviews.
Our fight has become far more difficult.
Allow the Jedi their small victory, my friend. For the engines of this war turn in our favor.
Although technically considered a financial success due to the low budget, it's a movie mostly forgotten by the fans. Perhaps the biggest reason for this is that despite the theatrical release, it was nothing more than a glorified pilot for the television series of the same name. However, it did introduce us to Ahsoka Tano and gave us our first look at a time period previously unseen for the most part in the franchise.
Okay, fine. There's so much more we can talk about out here. Like the sand.
The desert is merciless. It takes everything from you.
That's a happy thought.
Number 11. Star Wars Episode II: Attack of the Clones.
You want to buy some death sticks?
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks.
You want to go home and rethink your life.
I want to go home and rethink my life.
After fans had waited almost 20 years to get a new dose of Star Wars, the reaction to much of the first prequel was mixed. So when Episode 2 was released in 2002, everyone hoped it would land far better than its predecessor.
You call this a diplomatic solution?
No, I call it aggressive negotiations.
The best parts of this movie included many of the battle scenes on Geonosis. Additionally, the film featured far less of Jar Jar Binks and our first look at Yoda handling a lightsaber. Unfortunately, shoddy dialogue and a terrible romance plot between Anakin and Padme were cringeworthy at best to sit through. Hayden Christensen may have come into his own since then, but watching this now can be as coarse as sand.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Number 10. Star Wars Episode IX: The Rise of Skywalker.
If this mission fails, it was all for nothing. All we've done, all this time.
When J.J. Abrams took the reins back from Rian Johnson after Episode 8, fans wondered exactly how he would address some of the radical changes that movie had made. Turns out that much of the previous film would be retconned by Abrams' new version.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
Instead of a fresh take on what the new rebellion was facing, the film brought back one of the evilest Star Wars characters, all in the name of fan service. Sure, there was plenty of on-screen action, but an argument could be made that fans really wanted to see something new and different.
Your master, Luke Skywalker, was saved by his father. The only family you have here is me.
Number 9. Solo: A Star Wars Story.
I don't have people. I'm alone.
Solo.
With the success of Rogue One, Disney tried again and produced a movie that killed the entire Star Wars anthology film saga. Giving fans a story they didn't really need, this tale of Han Solo's early beginnings had a lot of potential. We learned where the scruffy-looking scoundrel got his name, how he won his ship, and how Chewie became his best mate.
Not bad. Not bad. You know, if you'd only had this little green Psylop, you would have beaten this.
Despite an interesting setup, the film failed to generate the box office returns Disney was hoping for. It forced them to reconsider their strategy when it came to these one-off films.
Beckett said he heard about this very big gangster putting together a job. No, I'm telling you, it's gonna be great. When have I ever steered you wrong?
Number 8. Star Wars Episode 1: The Phantom Menace.
Keep your concentration here and now where it belongs.
But Master Yoda said I should be mindful of the future.
But not at the expense of the moment. Be mindful of the living force, young Padawan.
It had been 16 years since the last theatrical Star Wars film. The stakes were high, and fans were foaming at the mouth to see what George Lucas would give them. The film made plenty of ripples, both on the dark and light side of the critics.
Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
Most people loved Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor's characters, and any action these two fell into. But massive criticism fell on the excessive presence of the comic relief character Jar Jar Binks.
I speak.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Now get out of here.
No, Mrs. Stay. Mr. called Jar Jar Binks. Mr. your humble servant.
Adding to that, the film had clearly moved away from practical effects, and much of the on-screen magic was now buried in excessive CGI. However, the recent Obi-Wan Kenobi series has reignited fans' interest in the prequels, so there's that at least. Number 7. Star Wars Episode 8: The Last Jedi.
We can rule together and bring a new order to the galaxy.
Don't do this, Ben. Please don't go this way.
No, you're still holding on! Let go!
Rian Johnson's take on the Star Wars universe ignited a huge debate among fans. Many took issue with how he had taken the beloved character of Luke Skywalker and essentially turned him into a cynical man, hiding from the galaxy. Even Mark Hamill had difficulty with this new direction.
I will never train another generation of Jedi. I came to this island to die. It's time for the Jedi to end.
Yet it wasn't just Luke that fans were divided about. The film also killed off Supreme Leader Snoke without notice or any real story behind the evil character. Throw in Leia's inexplicable rebirth and a time-filler plot around a casino, and you've got a movie with plenty of action but not much in the way of heart.
This Master Codebreaker would have a red plum bloom on his lapel.
Let's find him and get out of here.
Well played, the house wins.
Come on.
Number 6. Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith.
Ever since I've known you, you've been searching for a life greater than that of an ordinary Jedi. A life of significance, of conscience.
Anyone who'd seen the original trilogy knew Anakin Skywalker would one day become Darth Vader. When the time finally came to show this on screen, fans got a lot more than they bargained for. It opens with one of the greatest space battles Star Wars had ever seen. From there, we are treated to Anakin's own inner dilemma regarding his future as a Jedi.
You're asking me to do something against the Jedi Code. Against the Republic, against a mentor and a friend. That's what's out of place here.
The mechanics of how he ultimately turned to the dark side can be debated all you want. But no one can deny that his final battle with Obi-Wan was one we all loved watching.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
You underestimate my power!
Don't try it!
Number 5. Rogue One: A Star Wars Story.
You were not summoned here to grovel, Director Krennic.
No, it's...
There is no Death Star. The Senate has been informed that Jeddah was destroyed in a mining disaster.
Now here's a Star Wars movie no one knew they needed. The first of only 2 anthology films, this flick answered a question from the original 1977 movie. How did the rebels know so much about the Death Star?
The reactor module, that's the key. That's the place I've laid my trap. It's well hidden and unstable. One blast to any part of it will destroy the entire station.
For the first time in the franchise's history, we saw a movie that didn't involve Luke or anything to do with the Skywalker saga. Even though A New Hope spoiled how this movie would end, it didn't take away from the stakes or the excitement of seeing how Jyn and Cassian would fulfill their mission.
You've lost.
Oh, I have I?
My father's revenge. He built a flaw in the Death Star. He put a fuse in the middle of your machine, and I've just told the entire galaxy how to light it.
It proved that Star Wars had plenty of tales to tell that didn't have to revolve around the Jedi. Number 4. Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi.
I can't do it, Ben. You cannot escape your destiny. You must face Darth Vader again.
I can't kill my own father.
In the original Star Wars trilogy, Return of the Jedi was meant to serve as a redemption story. With Luke having become a Jedi and his father continuing to do the Emperor's bidding, there was a sense that things were about to come full circle.
Strike me down with it. Give in to your anger. With each passing moment, you make yourself more my servant.
Sure, the Death Star was a repeat of the original 1977 film, but this time around, it wasn't just the rebels beating the bad guys. With everything that Vader had done since turning, the possible death of his son was enough to have him turn on his master and fulfill the prophecy we'd learn of years later.
I'll not leave you here. I've got to save you.
You already have. Luke. You were right. You were right about me.
It's a film filled with hope, family, and an eye toward a better tomorrow. Number 3. Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens.
The Force, the Jedi. All of it. It's all true.
Some diehard fans argue that The Force Awakens was just a retread of the original Star Wars movie. A secret held in a droid will help the heroes fight a planet-destroying weapon. Yes, there are definitely parallels here, but that didn't change how much fans loved and needed this film.
Show me. Grandfather. And I will finish what you started.
After having lost a bit of faith with where the prequel trilogy took us, finding a way to give us something both new and familiar was a daunting task. Rey's awakening would set the new trilogy in motion and lead us to the unique world of Star Wars we're living in now. Like it or hate it, we needed something to kickstart the franchise again, and this did it in an incredibly entertaining way.
People are counting on us. The galaxy is counting on us. Solo, we'll figure it out. We'll use the Force. That's not how the Force works.
Number 2. Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope.
This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight. Not as clumsy or random as a blaster. An elegant weapon for a more civilized age.
It was the movie that changed the landscape of cinema forever. People had seen science fiction in the likes of 2001: A Space Odyssey, The Day the Earth Stood Still, and countless others. But George Lucas's take on good versus evil in a fantasy world set in space opened up the viewer's mind to possibilities they'd never seen before.
Mos Eisley Spaceport. You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
Luke's journey from farmer to rebel pilot may be set on alien worlds, but it's still a hero's journey. Lucas showed the world that stories about heroes could be set in far non-contemporary locales.
We meet again at last. The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Only a master of evil, Darth.
It created a whole new universe that people in our world are still using to tell new and creative stories that affect us all. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker.
But you are not a Jedi yet.
It's often said that a sequel can never be as good as the original. The Empire Strikes Back proved that's not always the case. A quick Google search on the best Star Wars movie and you're likely to find Empire at the top of those lists. We certainly did. A little romance, a little conflict, and plenty of action, Empire was nowhere near a repeat of its predecessor.
I love you.
I know.
This was a film that gave audiences everything they never knew they needed, including one of the single biggest reveals in cinematic history.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him. No. I am your father.
All the big players get their fair share of screen time. Plus, it gives us plenty of philosophical debate around the nature of good versus evil. Best sequel ever.
Father.
Son, come with me.
Why didn't you tell me?
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.